It has been over a year since I have mentioned the features that I'm going to be showing you today that we wanted to get in a long time ago, and it has taken way too long to get this to where we are today. I apologize. This has been one of the best kept secrets on the internet. I struggled to find any information on it. It took a lot of trial and error. Finally found the secret sauce to get this to work. I will be periodically looking above me because the monitor I'm going to be sharing is above me. My main monitor sits in front of me. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to switch over to that screen and share that with you. All right, I'm assuming that all of you know how to log in and get to the main menu, so I'm not going to go through any of that. I will start off by selecting a kayak as the group I'm going to work with right now. I will cycle through a couple of different ones to go through this process. I first want to say that the changes I'm going to show you do involve a process change on your part. And this has, again, been part of what we've been heading for well over a year. In the past, it did not make any difference whether you did your event in the app and then went over to WordPress or started in WordPress and then came over to the app. It does make a difference once these features I'm going to show you go into production. You will need to start with the app. The app will create a WordPress event for you, and we will go through that entire process. If you don't like what's in the WordPress, you can change it. We will discuss all of that during this meeting here a little bit later. Start with the app, and that may be all you need to do. There are essentially two ways to create an event, and most of you are aware of this. You start by managing events, and I'm going to click that right here on the screen. I am now signed in. I'm a kayaker. I've selected Manage Events. On here is where you find the four options for managing events. The first two are for creating new events. You can copy from a prior event. You can create a new one from scratch. The third one is if you need to do an update to your event. And the fourth one is to cancel events. Now I'm going to start with the first one because that's the one I think most of you will most often use. Copy an event from a prior event. So I'm going to click that radio button out front there, copy information from a prior event, hit the submit button. This brings up another screen and it wants me to enter some information about a prior event. Now, this is a search tool here, which I think is very helpful for you. And here you would type in where it is you want to go or the destination, the trail, or something about what your event should be. The more specific you are, the better the results are going to be. And let me give you an example here. We're doing kayaking. Obviously, I might want to see where on a lake we could go. Well, if I type in the word lake, I get all of the entries, and you can see there's quite a few of them that have the word lake in it. Well, that's pretty good if I don't have a lot of background is exactly what I want to do, but you know what? Lake is a little bit too general. Let me try Washoe. Now I can see that I've got a much smaller group that I can pick from. The more specific you are in this entering data in here, the better your chances of finding a match. If you really have no idea what to do, hit the space bar. Just about every single destination or trail has two or more words in it, and therefore there's a space in there. So if I didn't have any clue where I wanted to go, I'd hit the space bar and then I scroll through this monstrous list here till I find what I'm looking for. That's kind of a worst case scenario, is just hit the space bar. But again, let me go back to Washoe. I want to make a trip to Washoe Lake. We've done Washoe Lake before. We're going to do it again. So I select the one I want and I hit submit. This then will show me out of our database all of the trips that we've made that match Washoe Lake. Now you notice we have several things over the years, the most recent one being this past August. So I'm going to select that one and I hit the submit button. What this does is to go out to the old event, copy all that data that we have from that event and put it on your screen for you. Two things that you must enter when you copy an event. The date, because we don't know when you're going to do this. Obviously, it's going to be in the future. So we don't copy the date and we do not copy any event leaders. So I would pick a date. Let's say we're going to do this Saturday. We wanted to do this at 9 o'clock, but where they did it at 9 o'clock, but we're going to do it at 9:30. We're going to end a half hour later as well. I'm going to pick Harv here. And there we go. Let's throw Mary in there. We've selected two leaders. If I save that, again, it copies information from the old. If I need to change it, I can make changes here. Any of these fields that you don't want to use, don't bother with them. Kayakers don't have much in the way of elevation change. I don't think there's very many 30-foot waves out there on Washoe Lake, so he doesn't need to put anything in there. You may want to put a difficulty in, maybe not, it depends. Maybe they're all sort of the same difficulty, maybe not. Again, it's up to you. Anything specific to this particular event, not necessarily to where you're going, but this specific event. And the list name, these are the things that the kayakers should, in this case, what the kayakers should bring. This is a default. Generally, you don't need to change that either. So I come in here, I've made whatever changes I need to from the past data, and I say, click on preview. This shows me a summary. First off, what came from the old plus what we entered in. I have my new date, my times changed. Here are my leaders. I added this specific event information in here. You'll notice that the starting location has a link to it, plus the directions that came directly from that. If I were to click on this link, it's going to take me over to Google Maps and show me where that is on Google Maps. Any of the links that we list in here, you or the user clicks on a link and it'll show you the map. What does that mean? Well, technically, you don't need to put directions in to your description because we've already given you the direction, or given the people the directions, given them a link to the map. One change that you'll notice here, it used to say publish and then edit. I've changed them around. If you spot anything in here and you don't like it, hit the edit button, you'll go back and you can make other changes. If you're happy with what you see here, the save and publish button is going to do just what it says now. And this is what I had hoped it would do for a long time, but we're just now getting to it. It is going to save the event in our application and it's going to publish it in WordPress. I don't know if you can see it up here, but there's a little dot that goes back and forth and back and forth. Each browser has some indicator telling you that it's working. As long as you see that indicator going, and this is Firefox, goes back and forth, that means that it's working. And in order to create these WordPress events, it does take a moment or two. It's not instantaneous. You will see, in this case, we successfully created that event. And you see all the information in there. We've got leaders that were added to the sign-up sheet. And now it tells you that it created a TEC event. This is TEC stands for the event calendar. You can click on this link and it's going to go over and show you your event in WordPress. And there it is. And I mentioned in my documentation, because we're on a development site here, these organizers are not your leaders. On the production system, they will be, but on our development system, they're not. We don't have all the organizers in a development system. Let me go over to the calendar. This is the development calendar. I'm not sure if you can read this. It's kind of small print. And let me refresh that. We should see that event we just created, or I just created for you. And we click on that, and guess what? We see the same thing. So as you can see here, this event was created by our app and is in WordPress. It's available out on the calendar here. If I click this or go to the calendar, you're going to see exactly the same thing because the app has now created that event in WordPress. So to summarize real quick, we went in as a kayaker, we created an event from a prior event for kayaking, and we've seen that it creates a WordPress event. So let me go through another one, the moderate hike group. And I'm going to go back into manage events, and we're going to copy from a prior one. Again, this is the one that I think you're going to want to use most often. If you're going someplace where you've never gone before, then you're going to do a new event from scratch. All right, moderate hike. This is hiking, so we want to look at a trail. Well, again, look at all the entries for trails. Maybe I want something a little bit more specific, like maybe the Tahoe Pyramid Trail. So I typed in Tahoe, that gave me a smaller list. I find the one I want and I click on it. We've got Thursday hike, walkers, cyclers. Okay, these are all of the events that went on Tahoe Pyramid Trail. So I may find one. Let's say I want to do a kind of like the light hikers do. This one looks like exactly what I want to do. We want to start in Farad. Read over here to see which one you want to pick. I'll just pick that one. So I click the radio button in front. I hit my submit. Again, you have to put a date in.
Okay, so for this moderate hike group, when you search for event title, it's showing you anything that was a hike for not only moderate hikers, but also thirsty hikers, long distance hikers.
True.
Everything pops up.
Yes.
So with kayak, when you did the previous example with kayak group, it just showed kayak events. But when you're doing moderate hike, it's showing you all hike events.
It depends on the entry you put in. With the kayakers, I put in Washoe. Basically, there haven't been any hikes or any cycling over at Washoe. It's just been kayaking. In this case, we've had light hikers, thirsty hikers, cyclists, all have gone along the Tahoe Pyramid Trail. One of the benefits of this is that you could find something that another group has done that you may want to start with and maybe modify. So that's a benefit. Let me back up to show you this again. Go back into Manage Events. I'm going to copy from a prior event. I'm going to type in Tahoe. I'm going to pick the Tahoe Pyramid Trail. See, I've got light hikers. If I want to mimic it after a light hike, I can do that. There's some thirsty hikers. There's some walkers. So I can pick one of these and tailor my event to it. Now, the moderate hikers is a new group, so they're not going to have very many things out here. I think there's only been one moderate hike so far. So what they would do is they come in here and say, oh, okay, I want to do something pretty much like these light hikers did. I need to change the date. I'm going to make it on the 25th. The older event did not have an ending time. I'm going to put one in here, 1 p.m. We're going to do a ride share. I'm going to ask Bill just to be the leader for this. Same thing over here, moderate hike. We're going to make this a little bit longer. We're going to do 5 miles, but we will have an option for 3.5. And our elevation change, maybe we figured out, is about 150 feet. This one's going to be a fairly easy one. I may need to update this description in here, or I may need to also add some specifics for this particular event. We preview. This shows you, again, what's going to be created. The edit button will take you back. Oh, I didn't mean 1 o'clock. I meant 1:30. Let's preview again. There we go. Now I'm going to 1:30. Now I got it right. I'm happy with this. Save and publish. Save it to the app, publish it in WordPress. It created the event. Success means it created the event for us. It added Bill Bowers as the leader to the sign-up sheet. And I also have a link here that I can check. I don't necessarily have to go over to WordPress. If I want to, I can. And let me do that. Let's go over to WordPress first. Go over to the calendar. Let me refresh the calendar since I just added something. And there it is. Moderate hike group, Tahoe Pyramid Trail, Fred. Let me pop that up. And again, as I mentioned, our organizer data is not going to be correct while we are in the testing mode.
When you change something in the description, which is already a default, will that change be the default from now on?
It's not a default. What you are doing is copying from a prior event. So your change will then go into your event.
Okay.
So that in the future, if someone picks your event, it'll have that change. Or they can go back to the original event.
So we're not erasing anything.
No, we're not erasing anything. You're not changing any defaults. You're just using information from something that happened in the past.
Okay.
And you're not changing that past information.
Okay, thank you.
Let me go back over to the app. I can see the same thing. As I said, if I punch that link there, I will see the exact same thing. I don't necessarily have to go to the calendar to check. Either way, whatever works for you. So let me stay in the moderate hike. All right. Remember, when you select a working group, a lot of the screens will tell you what activity group you're working with. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to make a change. We've posted the event in the app and we've posted it to WordPress, but we realize that there's something wrong. It could be any number of things. But what I need to do is I want to update it. So I say, select an existing event to update. It's going to show me what's there available. And I'm going to pick the one that I just created there on March 25th coming up. What I realize is that we need to meet earlier and we're going to start a little bit later. I save these changes. I may have forgotten to put in here, bring your potluck stuff. When you do updates, you will see a note telling you how many people will receive the update notification. Typically, you would want to send them the update. I'm just leave that as yes. But if you're doing just a minor change, fixing a typo, you may not want to send the emails out. So it's up to you. But by default, it'll send the emails out. I want to preview. This will show me that we're starting later. You know, the changes that I've made are in here. Save and publish. Now, this tells me what changes I made. Since I requested an email to be sent out, this tells me the people that have registered, plus it tells me who it sent emails to. Remember, not everyone that registers for your event is opted in to receive notifications. Only those members that have opted in will receive notifications. This is a good place to check. If there are more people here than we have listed here, that means that one or more of your members did not get a notice for that update. Do you need to contact them? That's up to you. It's totally up to them. We have a large number of members that we do not have email addresses for, and obviously they're not opted in. We have a very small handful that we've got email addresses and have not opted in. The update has been made. We changed the leaving time for the rideshare. Well, let's see, where's the rideshare? Oh, it's 8 o'clock now. All right, so that changed. We changed the start time to 9:30. Oh, there it is. That changed. So the changes that we make in the app are automatically put into WordPress. So same thing. Let me go back over Kayak. I want to change something there. Maybe I want to change the title here. Okay. For whatever reason, we already know that it's going to be the North Boat Ramp because we put it in there in the starting location. See right here. So I don't necessarily need to have it in the event title. Again, this is up to you. I'm just doing this to show you how you can make some of these changes. We may want to make this a little bit later. We'll make it 1:30 p.m. because we're going to go out and have a little more fun and make other changes that we need to. Harv's going to make this a lot more difficult than it usually is for some reason. And we notice here there's going to be 2 notifications sent. Yes, I want to send them. Same thing. Shows me what it should look like out on WordPress. If I'm happy with it, I save and I publish. Here are the changes. In this case, we've got Harv and Mary, who were the leaders. They were the ones that are registered. They have both gotten email messages. Now you notice here, well, I didn't really send out a real email message to them. We're on our testing system. On a production system, they would have actually gotten real emails about this change.
So do you have to push the TEC button when you're done?
That's just a check. That's just an option for you.
Okay.
If we were to go back over to the calendar, to go back to the Kayak one here, if you remember, we changed this time here. You see it has been updated. See, I made this difficulty 5. I added this word really in there. So you can see that the changes that I did in the app are propagated into WordPress. No, you do not have to click that link. That is just an aid for you. Last thing we want to do. Harvey looks out the window and says, hey, we got a gale force winds out there. I don't think this is a good idea to do this. He wants to cancel this trip. The only thing you need to do here is tell us why. And the same thing here. The default is to send your cancellation notices. You would normally want to do that, to send the cancellation notices out to people who are registered and opted in. I click save. There's really no preview here for you to take a look at. What happens is this little piece of text here is added to your title so that when someone goes out to the calendar, and what we should see here is when it's done refreshing, this has been canceled. This was all done through the app. One of the things that you may notice, and let me just show you this. Let's see, we're in Kayak, so I'm going to do Lake again, and I'm just going to do Donner Lake. And I'm going to pick one here. On these screens here, you might notice this. A lot of this text is in red bold. That means that these are required fields. You have to have something in there to continue. That is probably all I need to cover with you about the events. Now, there was a question. What happens if I don't like it? I would go into WordPress and edit this. I'm going to log into WordPress on the development site. This is how you would log in if you wanted to make a change to the event that was created on your behalf. So you'd go in and you'd locate that event. Here's the one that I just canceled. So let me edit that. If there is something in here I don't like, or there's something that I'd like to put in here, edit it. Okay, I can do whatever changes I want. Oh, I really don't want to tell people this. I can delete it, okay? I add, delete, subtract, multiply, whatever I need to in this event. I push the update button and that will make a change in WordPress. So you are not limited to what the app creates. If you want to add some, take some away. If you want to delete this whole thing and start over, I just go up here, do that and say, this is my event. And when I hit this update button, that'll update that.
And it'll change it in your app?
No, the app will not have this change. We cannot go from WordPress back to the app. We go from the app into WordPress.
So Rob, why would we ever go into WordPress instead of just modifying it on your app and updating it on WordPress?
I would hope that you have no need to, but that's not to say that you can't. If there is any reason that you need to go into WordPress to make changes, you're allowed to do so. We are not preventing that from happening. What we're hoping is that you can use the app for all of your activities and not worry about WordPress.
Rob, I was wondering, how does your app automatically go to WordPress without our password?
We have set it up so that it works, obviously. Not to worry about that. We are able to create WordPress events from within our app. Other question, that's about all I have to cover in here.
If you're going to create a brand new event that you're not copying, is there anything that we need to know about that related to this?
Let me run through that real quick. Let me go over here. We'll do a walk. I'm now working with the walkers, and I want to copy something new from scratch. I'm going to do a walk that no one's ever done before. First off, I pick a date. We're going to make this 1st of April. And I'm going to call this April Fool's Walk Down Memory Lane. Where are we going to start? Oh, let's try Trailheads. TH is short for Trailheads. Let me just pick a trailhead. We want to leave at 7:30 a.m. and we'll be done by 11:30 a.m. It's going to be out and back. We don't need ride share. I'm going to ask Rick to be the leader on this. Typically, when you're signed in, your name will be highlighted here, but you can add other leaders as well. And in fact, you can add as many as you want. All right, so our April Fool's Walk Down Memory Lane. And we're going to go 50 feet up and down. It's going to be the easiest thing you've ever seen. And I don't need to tell the walkers to bring anything on this one. So I'm going to take that out of there. I don't need the default. Here's my preview. When it is, the times, our leaders, where we're going to start. I don't see anything to change. I want to save and publish. Thinking about it, it's working on it, it's working on it. All right, created this event. That's how you create an event that's never been done before. You have the option to copy prior stuff or just type it all in yourself. Makes no difference.
So if you wanted to create a starting location that had never been there before, how do you get that Google link to that location?
In that case, let's do this again. Let me create a new one. This one we'll do on the 18th. Starting location. I don't have a starting location currently in our system called This Is a Test. When you type in a starting location, in this case, a starting location that we don't know about, you get a message. This is a test, is not a known starting location. You can then come in here, put in directions, find it on a map and put your coordinates in here. I'm going to use my house. So let me create a point here. Use Google Maps to get my GPS coordinates. I'm going to copy those into here. That just happens to be my house. What do we know about this place? Well, we do have a flush toilet. We're going to charge you $10 to get in. And that's how you would save a new location. When you say resume, you come back to where you were. Just to show you, we now have, this is a test, which happens to be Rob and Vicky's house. If you click on the link, it should hover right over our house on Valleywood Drive there. That's what our house looks like, in case you're looking for us. Save and publish, same thing. Go out and create in WordPress. If I go out to the WordPress event, I've got this link. It also shows me where it is in the WordPress event. Hopefully that answers your question.
Yes, thank you.
Great.
Okay, I got a question, Rob. At the beginning, you said that in the future or going forward, we would no longer be able to create events starting from WordPress.
That is not quite correct. You can create events from WordPress. The only problem, quote unquote, you'll have is that if you create an event in WordPress and then go into the app, it's going to create another event for the same thing. So you'll end up with 2 events on that day for your one event. I would strongly recommend that you start with the app, let it create the WordPress event. And then if you want to change the WordPress event, then go in and modify it. All right, other questions?
We appreciate it, Rob. You do such a great job of putting these things
Yes.
together for us.
I appreciate your appreciation. And like I said, I will let everyone know when this is available in production. You will get an email from me. Thank you very much. I appreciate you taking some time from your day. If there's any questions or problems that you want to, send me an email, give me a call.
Thank you, Rob.
Okay, thanks, Rob.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Thanks a lot, Rob. That was
You're
great.
welcome.